The Addams Family is directed by Conrad Vernon as well as Greg Tiernan, and is about the Addams Family, who has recently moved to New Jersey, dealing with the antagonist, Margot Needler, who's played by Allison Janney, as well as preparing for their extended family to visit for a celebration. So right off the bat, I'd have to say that the Addams Family franchise, it's a franchise that I kind of grew up with, and I love the show, the original show, and I love the movies, most of the movies. And, given the animated films that have come out thus far that kind of have this style to it, there was a little bit of part of me that was kind of worried about the route they would go with it. The movie that I can compare is something like the Hotel Transylvania series. I thought the original was decent, but as the series went on, the substance to it kind of faded away, and they started throwing in all these pop songs and everything, and I was really worried it would go the route of that. After seeing this movie, I'd have to say that there are things that I will mention later, but it's not as severe as I would have thought it would have been. So going on to the directors, Conrad Vernon, been in animation for a long time, and he's directed plenty of animated films before this one. He's also the gingerbread man from the Shrek series. I didn't know that.
It's a thong!
He's also directed Shrek 2, and he's directed Monsters vs. Aliens, as well as directing Sausage Party and producing it. So, yeah, he has a good grasp of that whole field. And Greg Tiernan, he's also been involved with animation, just more of Don Bluth projects and Thomas Train franchise, stuff like that. And so, yeah, they both have a good grasp of humor and timing, which they very much incorporate when it comes to making this film. The voice cast, I would say that everybody did a pretty good job. More notably to me, Charlize Theron and Oscar Isaac as both Gomez Addams and Morticia Addams. I thought that they did a really good job. And I thought that they did good job bringing something new to the character while at the same time trying to do something with their voice to be distinctive to what we've heard before in previous versions of these characters. Nick Kroll plays Fester, and he pretty much does the same thing. Christopher Lloyd in the 90s movies, I really liked his version of Fester, but I always thought it was weird that he had this low and kind of raspy voice to him when I'm so used to that character having a really nasally, cartoony kind of voice, and Nick Kroll kind of brought that back. And also Chloë Grace Moretz, I thought that she did a good job as Wednesday Addams. I would say if there was any weaker performances, it would probably be Finn Wolfhard as Pugsley. I thought that he did a decent job, but he didn't really bring a lot to the character. When you do voice acting, and you'll probably notice this in a lot of animated films, is there are certain actors like Jim Cummings where they just have this very unique voice where they usually don't have to change it much. But if you're an actor that doesn't have that distinctness to your voice, you gotta find a way to bring a unique sound to it. And I just feel like he didn't really do that. He was just kind of talking, and just some kind of, whether it been the direction or not, I just feel like something in the change of voice could have helped. And kind of going with what I was saying about how some of the actors, they were trying to bring a distinctive voice to the characters. The character design of the family, I kind of feel like they took elements from previous versions of these characters and kind of just took the best qualities and molded it all into one. And yeah, it really makes them all look really unique in their own way. Unfortunately, other than the family, like I was saying, and also the antagonist and the characters centered around the antagonist, all the other side characters that pop up in the movie, unfortunately, they all look very uninspired and almost cookie cutter to one another, which is really weird because of, what I was just saying about what they did with the family. And, I would have thought that if they were going to go that far out with the character designs, that, they would have at least added a little uniqueness to each of the characters that live in the town. Kind of worried about that they would do in this film. Unfortunately, they did do it, playing pop songs in the film. I'm not a huge fan of movies doing that, even if it's live action, because eventually after a while it kind of makes the movie dated. You really need to find timeless songs to use if you're going to do that in a film, and this is one of those movies that doesn't do that. It doesn't find timeless songs. It just finds either a pop song or a song that might have been made specifically for the film. Going on to the humor of the film, again, like I was mentioning earlier, I feel like this is probably the strongest part of the movie. And, knowing who the directors were and just going with the writing and everything, I can tell that these were in good hands when it came to the humor. The timing was really good. And going along with that, there's a lot of moments in the movie where they'd actually use like sound effects and cinematography going hand in hand to add even more to the humor. There'd be a lot of moments where you can tell something was about to happen, but then suddenly it moves off screen to another subject. Then you'd hear something happen off screen, and that was like part of the joke, or they'd go back to it later on, like almost like a punchline. And I thought that it was really creative, and it made the movie like pop out. And considering that this is a 2019 animated film, one thing I really appreciated was the fact that there weren't any poop jokes and there weren't any fart jokes, because that is something that is so commonplace now, and it just makes me roll my eyes at this point. And so the fact that they never even thought to go that route and were trying to make genuine jokes in this film, it really made me happy. To me, I felt that the story was kind of lacking, more so in the subject of it was really safe. I'll try to explain the best I can without spoiling anything. In the very beginning of the movie, it kind of brings a new element that you don't really see in other versions of this franchise. In the show and in the 90s films, they never went to before they lived at the house. They never talked about that or even, showed that or anything. And this movie does that at the very beginning. So it's like almost the genesis of the family. And I thought that was really cool. And I was like, oh, where's this going to go? But as the movie kept going on, and the conflict began and everything, it never got as fresh as it did at the beginning of the movie. And I was kind of disappointed with that. I kind of wanted them to go a new route, and they just never went that route. Main conflict of the film, it's not like you haven't seen it before in another film or even an episode of a TV show. And that's another thing, is the story, the main story, is something that I just don't feel like it's movie in theaters level conflict. It very much felt like this could have been some show on Netflix or something, and this was just like one of the episodes of the show. So yeah, if I had any final thoughts, I would say that if you're somebody who just isn't familiar with the Addams Family franchise, like you've never seen anything before, I feel like this will be pretty satisfying for you. If you're somebody who has seen the movies and you've seen the show like I have, and even seen the cartoon show that they had in the 90s too, I don't think this will really bring anything new for you. But if you've missed this family and you just want to see them on another adventure, then I would say go see it. So with all that said, I'm going to give the Addams Family a B. So what's your favorite dysfunctional family TV show or movie? Put it down in the comments below. As usual, if you like this video, subscribe, and thanks for watching.